What's going on YouTube? The Kaijudo here with a special deck profile. This time, I'm not going to be doing a deck profile with the English sets. Now I'm actually going to be making a deck with the Japanese sets. I don't know if you've seen Evan Benjo's video lately, but he talked about this new format that he came up with called Duel Masters Modern. And what that basically is the only cards you can use are the new Duel Masters cards with the new layout, pretty much, and the new card frame layout thing. That's pretty much the only cards you can use. So if there's ever been a card that's been reprinted or newly printed with that card frame, you can use that card. But other than that, if it only has the old card frame, you can't use that card. The format is ridiculous. There's a lot of crazy cards in those new sets. Of course, there's a lot of the crazy, meta decks out there. But this is a deck that I wouldn't say is very consistent, but I think it's really fun. And I like to call it a Alien Reanimator deck using 4 civs, which are Fire, Darkness, Nature, and Water. And basically reanimating is the concept of dumping your big creatures into your graveyard and then bringing them back with spells or effects of any sort. So let's go over the main card of this deck that makes this deck work. Is this card right here, Hell Missokatsu Kaiser. So I'm running 4 copies of these, of course. But basically it's a level 8, 8,000 power creature, and at the beginning of each of your turns, you can summon an alien from your graveyard onto your field. Basically the whole concept of this deck is dumping all those big aliens, playing this guy as soon as you can, and then every turn you're getting this big alien on the field that does, crazy things. Let's go over the main targets that you want to reanimate with that Hell Missokatsu guy. And we got, first of all, the main alien you want to bring out is GILL Supergalactic Dragon. So he's a level 10, which is ridiculous to play in itself, but even this deck can bring it out just normally. But you really want to bring him out with Hell Missokatsu Kaiser, of course. So he's a level 10, 9,000 creature, and he's basically an Apocalypse Vise and a part Bolmedius in one, which is crazy. What you do is you destroy a total amount of creatures on your opponent's side of the field that total up to 9,000. So it's 9,000 instead of 8,000, which is really good. And you also break one of your opponent's shields and put it in the graveyard. Not only are you destroying quite a bit of their field, but you're also removing one of their shields and go straight to the graveyard. And then he is a double breaker. But that's pretty much it. This is the field clearing card you want to play, which is really awesome. Now, the other target you can go for is Bolshack Gil Cross NEX. I'm running only 3 copies of these. And this card's pretty neat. So, it's a level 9, 9,000 power attacker. So it's power attacker 5,000. It has speed attacker. So if you reanimate this, you can attack with him right away. And he's a triple breaker. Now, not only are those stats pretty good, but it even has this other effect, which is a personal favorite of mine, and that's no player can play any psychic creatures. Because those psychic creatures are really annoying, and this deck obviously does not use any of them because it has all these crazy aliens to use. So, getting this guy early prevents your opponent from playing any of those ridiculous psychic cards. That's a really crucial effect for this deck to work. So yeah, so I'm running 3 of those. Now, there's these 2 other targets right here. These are potential targets as well, but I still think those fire aliens are better. But this card, his name is Vice Kaiser Zeta the Vengeance. Now, he's a darkness creature. Yeah, sorry about the proxies I'm using. These were made by Evan Banjo, but my printer was running out of ink, so they're kind of faded and hard to see. But anyways, this is a darkness alien, level 7. But it costs 1 less for each of your opponent's spells in their graveyard. So if they have 3 spells in their graveyard, it only costs 4 to play. And when you summon him, your opponent reveals their hand and discards all of their spells. That is a pretty cool effect. And I think it has Double Breaker. Yes, it has Double Breaker as well. So he's another potential target, and late game, you could probably easily summon this for nothing. Now, of course we have the targets, but now we have to figure out ways to actually get it in the graveyard. And that's where 4 copies of Primal Scream come in. Now, this card is awesome. You mill the top 4 cards of your deck, and you pretty much get one creature back into your hand. It doesn't have to be those 4 cards. It could be any card in your graveyard. Well, any creature, I mean. Any creature in your graveyard, and you put it back to your hand, and it's a shield trigger. So it's like Dark Reversal, except it costs 2 more, and you mill the top 4. So milling is really important so that you can get those big aliens into the graveyard so you can reanimate them with Missokatsu Kaiser. Now another good milling card is for Atsuto, Duel Hero Strategist. Now he is a Darkness, Water, Multi-Civ, level 2 creature with 2000 power, and when you summon him, you draw 2 and then discard 2. That's all he does. And that's really awesome because it's a really cheap way of digging through your deck, getting some better options, and then getting rid of the aliens that are stuck in your hand early on. So that's what he's in here for. Now, what really sucks about this deck and in this format is that Emergency Typhoon is not in this format, and Emergency Typhoon would probably be put in instead of this card because it's just quicker, it's a spell, it's a shield trigger, so it would just be better suited for the deck. But this card almost does the same thing, except you have to discard 2. Which could be better in some cases, I guess. Now, that's it for the milling kind of cards, and then we have the cards that draw, and that's where water comes in. So we have 4 streams. Don't really have to talk much about that. You draw 2 cards. And then we have only 2 Intense Vacuuming Twist. Intense Vacuuming Twist does not mill, unfortunately, and it puts the other cards that you don't choose on the bottom of your deck, which kind of stinks. I'll just go over the effect real quick. It's a shield trigger, level 4 spell, and you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, you pick a card, add it to your hand, and if it's a fire or nature card that you add to your hand, you pretty much spiral gate one of your opponent's monsters, and then you put the rest of the cards on the bottom of the deck in any order you choose. So I'm only running 2 of these, and this is actually my only form of like removal on the field, which is really bad about this deck, considering in the OCG you're only allowed to run 40 card decks. It's kind of hard to fit in removal, but I guess this is my only real option. Plus it digs for, you know, other options that you really need. I don't know. That's all I can really say about this card. I wish I could run more, but space issues, can't really fit anymore. And now we're running Nature to accelerate mana as quick as you can so you can play those big creatures and get that Missokatsu Kaiser out. So of course, 4 Faerie Life, that's self-explanatory. 4 Jasmine Mist Fairy, my bad. It's pretty much a Faerie Life as well, except it's not a shield trigger. It's a creature, level 2, 1000 power. You summon it, you sacrifice it, and you top deck one of your cards into your mana. That's pretty much the same thing as Faerie Life. And also 2 7 Towers for late game. Now basically what 7 Tower does, it's a level 3 spell. It's not a shield trigger, I don't think, no. But it's a Faerie Life as well. But if you have 7 cards in your mana zone when you play this, you actually get the 3 top cards of your deck. So I'm only running 2 of these because I only plan to use it late game. So if I draw this really early, it's easily going into mana because I don't really want to just ramp 1, I want to ramp 3. Because then next turn, you could easily hard cast any of those big aliens that are stuck in your hand, or even, you know, other cards if you so choose. And the last card of the deck is Deis Magician, Ranger of Gaia. So he's a Nature Darkness Multi-Civ card, level 5, 4000 power, and basically what he does, he has Space Charge. What Space Charge is pretty much is anytime you put a card in your mana that matches the civilization in the Space Charge effect, you get some sort of effect. So basically, he has Space Charge Nature and Space Charge Darkness. So when you put a Nature card into your mana, your next creature costs, I think, 2 less. Yeah, costs 2 less. And if you put a Darkness card in your mana, you pretty much Dark Reversal and get 1 creature back into your hand. What's really useful about this is that you can get him out like turn 4 or so, let's say, and then next turn, if you cast like Faerie Life or something, you can potentially use his effect more than once. Now I don't really know the rulings on this, and it's probably wrong, but I think, let's say you put a Nature in your mana, then you cast Faerie Life and you get another Nature. Now, I don't know if your next creature costs 4 less, or still 2 less. I think it's still 2 less, but I'm not sure. But you could do some interesting plays like that. But all I know is that for sure, if you do nature and then you get a darkness in your mana, then you could use both effects in 1 turn. So I'm only running 3 of those because he doesn't really play a huge role into the deck just to make your creatures cheaper. That's pretty much all he does. So that's the deck. I actually used this deck against Evan's kind of fire, nature, water, hunter aggro deck that uses Cosmo Cebu and Bulbazax and stuff. And I 2-0'd him, but I think he was just really unlucky. He was not drawing the cards he wanted, and he was not fast enough to break my shield before I just got all my crazy creatures out. So the thing is, this deck easily loses to Rush without question. Like, you go against Rush, this deck loses. What this deck really wants to go against is those control-ish decks, because, I mean, this deck is like as slow as Control, but the moment you get to turn 8 or something, this deck just explodes. Like, you just can't do anything about it. Like, you have Missokatsu Kaiser, and then next turn you play Bolshack NEX from it, and then you play like GILL Apocalyptic Dragon from your hand. I mean, GILL Supergalactic Dragon, sorry. You just hard cast him, and then you clear their field, and you have a speed attacker triple breaker, and they're like, what the heck just happened? Yep, that's pretty much this week's deck profile. I wanted to at least do 1 Japanese deck profile. And also, Evan Banjo is going to be filming some videos. He's going to be uploading them, rather, of him and his friend actually using this deck as well. So you'll get to see them duel with this deck and see how it does. I'm expecting Rush to beat it easily, but the Hunter deck, I think this has a chance because it's really good. Anyways, guys, hope you guys liked the deck, and hope you guys had a nice day. This is TheKaijudoChannel signing off with this crazy deck. See you next time, guys.